I wanted to test out agentic payments. So I started with a Bitcoin wallet. I used MDK. I'd already built numerous applications with MDK. I knew how slick it was. So I created that. And
And actually,
then,
can we first just define the terminology? Like when we say agentic payments or an agent wallet, what do we mean by that being different than
yeah,
a developer using something and just creating a wallet? Is it that the agent has the 12 words, or what does it mean exactly?
yep. Well, I did this in two phases. One, I just did traditional payments. And then the second demo I wanted to create was what I would call like agentic payment, which was like an agent paying a service. Which
without a human involved.
with that, well, right. Well, in this case, I asked one agent to go use a service
Okay.
and pay for it, which was built by and run by another agent.
Okay.
But to start, like the first step was just like, can I set up? Because I did more than just a Bitcoin wallet. I did different because a goal here. I didn't want to just do agentic payments with Bitcoin, but I wanted to test out stablecoins and then compare and contrast. So I set up an MDK based Bitcoin wallet. And so I did it, but I did it through an agent, right? I used Ori.bot to create that wallet. I then created a Lightspark Spark wallet. I created a Tether WDK wallet initially for Tether on Tron and then Tether on Ethereum. So I had both of those wallets. I created a Coinbase Agentic wallet. I think now you're going to ask me, DK, what does that mean? I used their developer platform. I don't really. I mean, I created it. I created a USDC on Base wallet. Whether that there's different flavors of agentic or not, I have no idea. But I created a USDC on Base wallet, which I want to get into in a little bit. And then I didn't complete Stripe stuff. Like AI struggled more with Stripe.
Really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because part of one of the measurements I was gonna look at is like how easy is it to like onboard as a developer slash agent, like to create this wallet. And like MDK and Bitcoin trivial, Tether WDK trivial.
What does WDK stand for?
Wallet Development Kit.
Okay.
Those were very easy to get set up.
I just learned about it, by the way. Can we just to clarify? I think WDK supports. It's built by the Tether org, and I think it supports USDT on a couple. And then does it also support Bitcoin and Lightning natively?
It supports Bitcoin. It supports Lightning via Spark. It supports Tether on a number of platforms. It supports Gold.
How does it do that?
Well, Tether has a gold token.
I thought they were going to put money.
And it's doing that, and you don't have a KYC process to get a WDK developer kit, right? You're just
correct.
Okay.
So it definitely was very trivial to use, set up, permissionless, no KYC. So from that perspective, it was really good. So Bitcoin is good. That was good.
And when you say set it up, did you actually register for any accounts or anything, or did you just say, "Hey, Oribot, go create a wallet"?
The latter. I mean, I forget.
Awesome.
I forget my exact prompt, but I mean, I basically said like create a Tether WDK wallet.
So you didn't go to any websites. You didn't do anything manually. You literally just in your Telegram chat told the bot to go do stuff, and it did it.
Yep.
I mean, that's a big deal right there.
That's a big deal. Yep.
So it was very, very simple. And that's why I'm saying, like, compared to what Miles had to do a year ago, I don't know exactly what he had to do, but you know, I know it took him many hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've gone from like a person is unable to do it because they don't have the skills,
right, to
it takes them dozens of hours, but they can do it, to you one shot in English, you just speak a sentence and you have it. It's just incredible.
Freaking awesome.
So anyway, created these wallets. Initially, the first demo was just like put them all on a website, and then just like tested basic traditional payments with them to prove they worked. One big hiccup, which I was already aware of, but it was even worse than I thought, is with stable coins, just the pairs are the explosion of stablecoin pairs is just ridiculous. And by pairs, I mean you have which currency, you have which issuer, you have which platform. So, is it USDC on Ethereum or USDC on Solana or USDC on Base? Since that, just yesterday, I learned there's also USDC on Base that's bridged, and there's USDC on Base that's native.
What does that even mean?
So I was collaborating with a couple other people and AI to learn more about the unilateral exit capabilities of Base, because I worry that Coinbase's Base platform is going to be Dino, decentralized and name only.
Oh yeah.
Meaning, it's positioned as and marketed as decentralized and everything, but
Decentralization theater.
I worry that it's going to be completely controlled by Coinbase. So I was looking into unilateral exit, and there are unilateral exit. It's like kind of there, but not really. So if you have USDC on Base that's bridged means it's USDC might exist on Ethereum, layer 1 Ethereum, and then you can bridge it into Base with a token, much like wrapped Bitcoin. And this isn't a novel concept. This has been around for many years, but you have a token on Base then that one for one represents the asset on layer 1 Ethereum, and you're trusting that you can unwrap it and get back to Ethereum layer 1. So that was the first USDC token on Base. A couple of years ago, Circle started issuing USDC native on Base, and that's directly on Base. There's no bridging. The gotcha with that, though, is that you can't unilaterally exit. So if you have native USDC tokens on Base, they are native to Base. There's no representation outside of Base. So you're very much in the Base world and arguably the Coinbase world with those tokens.
Does Base have any even decentralization theater, or is it just like Coinbase's database?
There's definitely
some theater,
some substance, some theater. Myself and a few others that were looking at this, unable to find an authoritative source that formally describes that they do have unilateral exit.
What would unilateral exit mean in this case? Because my understanding would be that, let's say USDT, that the Tether organization holds a US Treasury that's supposed to back the USDT, like $1 of Treasury to back the $1 of USDT. If you then bridge that somewhere, how can you get that out besides getting the Tether org to agree that you still have access to that backed Treasury?
I mean, there's different layers here. Let's stick with I can answer your question by sticking with USDC instead of Tether, but because USDC has the same properties, right? Yep. Like Coinbase, Circle, they hold US Treasuries to back those tokens, just like you described for Tether. So when I say unilateral exit, I'm not referring to actually getting a $10 bill in my hand. I'm referring to having a token that is on the layer 1 chain that I control the private keys to that wallet, as opposed to it being on a layer 2 like Base.
So it's the exit from 2. It's the unilateral exit from 2 back to 1.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
That's what it is. Okay.
Now, when you're analyzing the whole system, I mean, you also have to. I mean, in trying to understand where you're trusting things, of course, with any stable coin, you're also trusting that Circle, Coinbase, Tether, etc. don't freeze your coins as well. But I'm talking specifically trying to understand Base.
Really quickly, I don't want to take us too far off the subject, but why is Base even a layer 2? What does that even mean? I thought
Well, I think we talked about this last
ago.
last year about I might be wrong, but I thought Brian Armstrong said that they're basically turning into a layer one.
That's what I
maybe
thought.
maybe I misremember that.
I thought I saw a recent headline about how they're getting off Ethereum or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to. So I'd like to go
That's
follow. Is
very
that
recent, yeah.
rumor, or did he actually say that? Are they actually doing it? I don't know. But I mean, it makes sense to me because your question is spot on. That it doesn't really make. It's just evolved into it. Might as well be its only layer one.
It's evolved from Ethereum to a MySQL database, which is where all things are.
Yeah. Well, so you asked, is there any substance behind it? I mean, it's it's a zero knowledge proof roll up mechanism. There's at least, it's unclear what's been coded and is real versus what's on a roadmap or theory. But in theory, you can unilaterally exit to Ethereum. But obviously, if they move, if they make it a layer one and move off of Ethereum, which I'm still not clear if they're actually doing that or not. But then what are you exiting to? But even if they don't do that, my point is with native USDC, you can't exit to layer one because it is natively issued on layer two, and it doesn't exist outside of that. So
I would just like to reassert the claim I made many times. I think it's very important. The only innovation in crypto outside of Bitcoin was confusing regulators. I stand by that.
Mm.
So let me tie this back to agentic payments and what's going to be used for that. Because we all like Bitcoin. We like the properties of Bitcoin. We hope it succeeds long term, short term and long term. But because we think it's the best money, we think it doesn't advantage any particular country, region, company, fair and neutral, and yada yada yada. So, but just because it objectively has those properties and we want that to happen, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? So one thing we have talked about in the show for a year now is, but like, why is it going to win in the short term? Why would someone use Bitcoin for online payments, for agentic payments, et cetera, versus stablecoins, right? And we've evolved our answers there. We've never had like super crisp, super concrete answers. I do think we've improved our thinking there, and it just continues to improve. And so let's talk about it. I mean, one reason that I feel strongly about is Coinbase is obviously pushing for USDC on Base. It is, to the degree it succeeds, it'll be a cash cow for Coinbase because they make, for every USDC dollar that they issue, they're the ones that hold the US treasuries. They earn all of the yield on that.
And they presumably earn fees too, right?
And they earn fees off of Base, right? So it would be a double cash cow for them if the whole economy moves to that. So imagine a world where all the internet payments, AI or no AI,
right,
all flow through that. That's great for Coinbase shareholders. But it's frankly, it's a far worse world than what we live in today. I mean, today we have thousands of banks globally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way more decentralized than that world. So I think that's like a very scary world, and in a world that we don't want to head in. Now there's other big players, Stripe, Visa, Google, etc., who are also vying and jockeying for position. So we've talked about that before. It'll be difficult for any one of them to break out and dominate because they're all so powerful. But if one dominates, that's a horrible outcome for the world, I think.
Yeah.
If 4, 5, 6 of them are all strong players and carve out market share, but aren't compatible with each other, that's super fragmented. So to me, that's one of the huge reasons why Bitcoin, it's an advantage of Bitcoin. It's still not super clear to me though why short-term decision-making will choose Bitcoin. And when I say short-term decision-making, I mean, if you're a builder, if you're a seller or a consumer, whether you're offering a service or whether you're wanting to pay for something, why are you choosing Bitcoin over USDC on Base, for example? And I just worry that if there's, if it's lower fees or better dev UX or whatever for USDC and Base, that will lead to people choosing that. And I don't know how you sell people on this like longer term strategy concern.
Well, so I have a lot of thoughts around that, but what did you learn from all your testing?
So the stablecoin pairs is just a total nightmare from a consumer standpoint.
I thought stuff like Bridge fixes this, no? Like they're an exchange between them.
So for example, I created a USDC on Base wallet. It was not as easy as MDK or Tether to set up, but it wasn't. I had to I had to log into my Coinbase account and do various things. I mean, it still wasn't that hard, but there were barriers, and I had to log into Coinbase to do it. But it wasn't that bad. But then I went to pay the wallet just to make sure it actually worked, and I had some USDC on Phantom and MetaMask. Just playing around with those wallets. I pointed them to the same wallet.
You have Phantom and MetaMask?
Oh yeah. DK and I did an experiment 2 years ago. So I still have those wallets, and I have USDC, but I have USDC on Ethereum. So then I couldn't send it to this wallet. And that's when I learned that. Okay. So then I'm like, all right, so I need to get USDC on Base, but then to make the payment, I had to pay gas fees. And then I'm like, oh great. Well, I already have Ethereum in this wallet to pay gas fees, but no. I learned that there is also Ethereum on Base. And
what the fuck does that even mean?
Well, to pay gas
fees. You
mean
ETH on Base.
Yeah.
Like
which is different than layer. So I already had layer 1 Ethereum, but I needed Base Ethereum to pay the fees to make a Base transaction.
What is Base? But Base Ethereum, let's be clear, is just they call something ETH,
some token on
but it's Base.
Yeah. So I had to do swaps and bridges and all this stuff, which the UX and MetaMask and Phantom is pretty good for that because that's optimized for traders.
Right.
So I was able to do it, but still, the normal human beings understanding all these different pairs and platforms and stuff is like ridiculous. It's horrible user experience. And then it's annoying to have to do it. Right?
What about for the agents? Let's say we don't care, like humans.
Yeah, I think
irrelevant.
Is kind of the question to answer around all this. How will the agents see this?
Yeah, like was it confusing for the agent, or is the agent just like whatever? Like in the background, I can do all the swaps.
It's a good question. I mean, I did all the stuff manually,
okay.
And I didn't try to get the agent to do it. I'm not sure if there's services out there to do those swaps that agents can use. I don't know, because I did it from MetaMask and Phantom.
For your presentation, I think it'd be interesting if you do the human experience, but just like agent only. Like what happens if I'm just talking to the agent? Like what roadblocks they run into? Because I think that's the one that matters.
Yeah, I agree. I should have done that, so I'll do that. But yeah, that from a human consumer perspective, that's such a bad user experience, and that's where I think Lightning shines, because Lightning allows for a very simple user experience no matter which technology you're using on Bitcoin. You could be using a Lightning wallet or a Cashew wallet or a Fedimint wallet or an Arc wallet or a Spark wallet, all these different technologies. And like, yeah, consumers don't need to know what any of that is, what I just said.
Right.
They're just sending and receiving Bitcoin, and they're all interoperable. You can be using Arc, I can be using Spark, and we don't need to know that. We don't need to care, and yet we can pay each other. And we're not having to do bridges and swaps or anything like that.